We have the National Institute of Minority Economic Development, Kevin Price, President and CEO. We have Roberta McCullough, Senior Vice President of Operations, Institute Capital, ICAP. John Ham, Director, Center for Professional Services. They're going to be presenting today, and we're going to take questions following their presentations. If you have questions, please put those in the chat as they're speaking, and then I will ask them the questions following their presentation.
And while Steve is putting it on the screen, thank you, Mary, for the introduction. And Jackie, it's great to see you and so many familiar faces after living in Charlotte for 22 years. That's home. So it's good to be back with you all, even though I live now in the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area. And so I moved to Chapel Hill to take on this new role of working with. I can't
unmute myself. Can you hear me? You can't hear me on there, can you?
So I moved to the area to work with what was known as the North Carolina Institute of Minority Economic Development. And Steve, you can move to the next slide. And so you all may be familiar with the North Carolina Institute of Minority Economic Development, which was created in 1986 by Andrea Harris, who came out of the Department of Commerce. She felt that it was important that we had a organization that had a statewide focus on economic development issues as it relates to minorities and women. If y'all recall, in 1986, we had the Urban League in Charlotte, but it was focused on Charlotte. We had NAACP chapters across the state, but they weren't focused on economic development issues. And so it was important that we had a statewide organization. So out of that was birthed the Institute. And as a result of that, we have steadily been growing and impacting the state of North Carolina for the last 35 years. It's pretty amazing that we've lasted that long and we have grown and been impactful all of those years. I came in because it was important that we think through the next chapter of the Institute. Next slide. And so as we think through that next chapter, there were some nuances that needed to change, but there's some things I think it was important for you all to understand about who we are and as an organization. Our mission, vision, and values hasn't really changed that much. It remains to strengthen the asset base of diverse populations through our policy work, education, and providing economic opportunities. You can see there our vision, economic prosperity for diverse populations, and our values of trust, excellence, innovation, and collaboration. I want to skip over to the right side because most people don't know that we're in 5 states. They think of us as being North Carolina centric, which we are, but we have a presence in the green states there as well through our programmatic efforts. We also have an office in the Washington, D.C. area, as well as offices in Raleigh and now Charlotte and Richmond, Virginia. And so we're very engaged. We're a nice sized nonprofit to be impactful, and I'm very pleased with that. Now, a lot of the work we do is through 4 lines of business. Next slide. That show you how we're set up. So when I joined the Institute in 2020, March the 9th, and so I left Novant March the 5th after leading the Supplier Diversity Program at Novant for 14 years. I joined the Institute March 9th, 1 week before COVID hit. And so just to show you just the impact, the gravity of what I inherited, I basically inherited the top half of this organizational structure. So Andrea had been masterful at putting together the Research Policy and Impact Center, gathering data, doing disparity studies. And so that's what we were known for. In addition to that, we have the Center for Entrepreneurship. And so the way I think of this is The Research Policy and Impact Center is the what, and then the so what is and how we impact the what is through the Center for Entrepreneurship, which is really what makes us incredibly unique as a nonprofit. We have 3 women's business centers that are partially funded by SBA, one in Charlotte, which Rocio Gonzalez leads, and I'm very excited about her being on the team. One in Durham, which is the North Carolina, and one in Richmond, Virginia, which is seated on the campus of Virginia Union University. And so that's our partnership with our first HBCU, but we have several that we partner with throughout our footprint that I showed you earlier. The other thing that makes us unique is we are the only host in the Southeast for the Small Business Transportation Resource Center, which Alyssa Mako leads, and she is on the call as well. So Alyssa, thank you for joining as well. And so you might imagine, y'all, we're going to be very busy as an organization now that the infrastructure bill is passed, because our role with the SBTRC is to make sure for any projects that come out of DOT, they have a MWBE participation goal. And we are the ones that will help make sure those goals are met throughout the Southeast, whether it's the airport, whether it's rail lines, whether it's bridges and highways, we're it. So it's important that you all know that and how we play a role in that space, thanks to Alyssa. And so that's what makes us unique. The second, or the bottom half of that, is what we've added since 2020. And so having these women's business centers and SBTRC that are out supporting minority and women-owned businesses throughout our footprint wasn't enough. What I was hearing from government, what I was hearing from corporations was, yeah, you got them, but are they big enough to work with us? Do they have scale? And do they have the resources to support us? And so it was important for us to then merge with a community development financial institution. Now, there are 2,000 CDFIs nationally. There are only 60 of them that are African-American led. There are 5 African-American led CDFIs in North Carolina. We are one of them. And so ICAP, or Institute Capital, is its name. We merged with what was known as the North Carolina Community Development Initiative, which was led by Abdul Rashid. I merged those two together, which I thought was important. The Institute, 35 years, the initiative, 20 years. And to put it in perspective for you, the Food Line Shopping Center on Beattysport Road, that was financed by the initiative. So we have been doing work in Charlotte for many years. The Food Line Shopping Center on West Boulevard, financed by the initiative. And so we have invested dollars in the Charlotte community. To put it in perspective, you'll see in a minute, over $1 billion in the last 20 years. So we've been impacted, but that wasn't enough. It was important for us to support nonprofits as well, which is why we have the host of Public Allies, which is a national program to support nonprofits. Added to that, what we were hearing in 2020 and 21 was that we needed to support corporations and government entities because they saw so many minority and women-owned businesses being lost. The Washington Post reported in 2020 that we probably lost 41% of African-American businesses and somewhere around 38% of Hispanic businesses nationwide. And I was with government officials in 2020, and they said, well, what do you think that means for North Carolina? I said, we're probably pretty close to parity. And so how do we support them? And that's where we got the idea of birthing the Center for Professional Services, which John leads. And so we got on the call Rocio with the Women's Business Center in Charlotte. We've got Roberta with ICAP providing financing, John Ham providing the leadership for the Center for Professional Services. And that, I think, is a pretty strong combination. Now, what makes it unique for Charlotte is we recently opened our official Charlotte office on the campus of UNC Charlotte in the Portal building. It's highly unique. We're the only CDFI in North Carolina on the UNC school campus. let alone African American led. And so our role there is to provide financial resources for those businesses that are being birthed out of the portal building. So I'm very excited about that. And I think the next slide talks about more specifically the Women's Business Center of Charlotte, but I want to pause a minute and just ask Rocio if she had a few comments to talk about the Women's Business Center specifically in Charlotte.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. And she's going to speak. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. I'm just going to take one more minute to emphasize what Kevin has been saying, that our mission is to promote economic sufficiency, and more geared towards women entrepreneurs. We want to ensure that they have access to the tools and the resources and the opportunities they need so that they can sustain their businesses and continue with their growth, and be also develop the community and contribute to the economic growth of the community. We are in the portal building. We are continuing to do all of our one-on-one sessions and virtual seminars so that everybody stays safe. So please, if you have any referrals, any ladies out there that are thinking about opening a business or would like to learn how to improve and strengthen their business, please reach out to us, because that's our focus, to help them. So thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you, Rocio. And I think, Steve, the next slide talks about the Center for Professional Services, and John will cover those slides.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And good morning again, everyone. So a lot of people ask me, what is the Center for Professional Services? And I always respond with, I am so glad you asked, because we've got some really exciting things that we work on. Kevin mentioned the 4 areas that we work in. And this, through the Center for Professional Services, is how we really work in terms of 4 sandboxes. One is through public and private collaborations. As Kevin mentioned, a lot of municipalities, corporations, and government entities come to us, the Institute, wondering how they can better engage minority and diverse firms, how they can increase their participation rates, and just how overall they can contribute to the ecosystem for diverse and minority-owned firms. And we have a lot of tools and resources that Kevin mentioned earlier to really help guide and lead that. Supplier inclusion. We have a really proven and tested model that we've been using for years to actually source diverse businesses, meaning identify them, help them grow and scale, and really pipeline them into some of the corporations, municipalities, and government entities, again, that are looking for those type of suppliers that they can spend money with. And our goal is to increase utilization rates, and we've been very, very successful. Obviously, with the whole social unrest that's been occurring over the past couple of years, diversity, equity, and inclusion has been a huge, huge, huge request from many of our clients. And essentially, we are providing training and resources to make sure their corporate 4 walls mirror and actually reflect the diversity of not only their communities internally, but also the community externally, meaning the United States community in terms of diversity and equity. So we've got a lot of resources internally where we can help organizations start from the top down to make sure that they are being inclusive. Lastly, we have an executive management education program, which is called Minority Executive Education Institute. For lack of a better term, it's a mini MBA course that lasts 4 days. We will probably likely have that in the spring or summer. And we will identify minority-owned firms that are on the cusp of getting to the next level, and just really providing them tools and resources, utilizing instructors, subject matter experts to really help them grow and scale. So real excited about that. Next slide, please. So I talk a lot about the partnerships, but I like to really make it relevant. So you can see here some of the things that we have done through our collaborations. On the left, you can see a couple of organizations. One is quite interesting, the Thrive High Point. High Point really needed help determining what a minority MWBE program was. How could they identify minority-owned firms? How could they get them to do business with the city of High Point and major corporations in that city? So we have gone in, we actually have an office there where we are actually doing that work for them and establishing a full minority MWBE program and working with small and diverse firms in that community so that they can be ready to secure those opportunities. Some of our outreach that we've done and business seminars, sessions, Rocio is responsible for most of these, hosting 300 training sessions and over 50 outreach programs. And we define an outreach program where we actually connect a minority-owned firm directly with a corporation or entity that's looking to buy from them. And we'll have sessions on, how to submit a proposal, maybe information on upcoming bid opportunities. So we do those on a regular basis. We have regular supplier inclusion strategies where we help major corporations and entities figure out how to do business with these firms. And I won't read all of these, but we really have a great grasp on how we can help organizations and entities increase their diversity business spend. One of the things that's major that Roberta will go into now is that we have access to capital through our Institute Capital, which is ICAP, and that is really huge. So we provide all these resources really essentially under one roof. So next slide, and I will turn that over to Roberta.
Thank you so much, John. So Kevin has alluded that Institute Capital is one of the newest really programs to the National Institute and is the lending arm. We are very excited to have this, what we feel is the last step and the last link to providing services to our small businesses. So also Kevin stated that we have ICAP, which was formerly Initiative Capital, has been around for 20 plus years. And you can see the impact that has occurred over the years, over $1 billion in community investments, which is huge. It is definitely not it's probably an understatement as opposed to an overstatement. So we merged in June of 2020. We did some internal restructuring and launched our lending in April of last year. We being a community development financial institution and receiving funding from an organization called the CDFI Fund, we had certain requirements and goals that we wanted to meet in 2021. And that goal was to deploy $5 million in capital, in which we did that, and to small businesses and to affordable housing developers. The affordable housing development legacy was one of the initiative capital that we wanted to make sure that we captured through the merger, because we wanted to honor the hard work that you all mentioned earlier of Abdul Rashid, and of course our founder, who was Andrea Harris. Next slide, please. So what do we do? Just an overview, our product summary. Again, we do affordable housing and community development lending. Now for the affordable housing developer, this is most important in this day and time, because we know the dire crisis we have for affordable housing for those that need it. We're excited to focus on those diverse and some not diverse affordable housing developers. One of our clients currently, I won't mention by name, in the Durham area, just landed a strong partnership with some developers to provide over 1,000 affordable housing units in the area. So we're going to be part of that. So that's just the kind of thing that we do. We also lend to small businesses. We discussed the technical assistance programs that we have in the Women's Business Centers and the SBTRC, the Transportation Resource Center. We are just look at us as a one-stop shop. We can provide training and support to diverse businesses. And then when they are ready, they can come to ICAP and we can help them scale through access to capital. We have HBCU collaboration, where we are really growing this particular arm in terms of working with HBCUs to scale and find those juniors and seniors that are looking to build business and they're in the ideation stage. So we want to be able to position ourselves to lend to them. And that's really how we, part of why we're at the UNC Charlotte's campus, to do that very thing, because we know that UNC Charlotte has a very strong presence in entrepreneurship. And the same reason that we're on Virginia Union campus in terms of HBCU collaboration. We're growing in our technical assistance, even though we have programs that already offer that. We're going to strengthen that and ensure that the capital that we provide is in fact growing and scaling the businesses that we serve, and that we can serve as an ongoing TA provider for them. I know that we don't have a lot of time, but that is just a quick overview of what we do. And our goal this year, just so you know, our goal this year for ourselves is to double that. And we're going to be looking to do at least 10 million to grow and scale businesses. And I already see that we're going to extend that and grow beyond that. So we want you all to be a part of it. So
Hey,
thank
you
you so
sound
much.
good.
Well, I
I'll
think
turn it
the
back over.
next slide. Thank you, Roberta. And so Roberta was being modest. What she mentioned was we started lending April 1st through ICAP of last year. By December 31st of last year, we had made over $5 million of loans, most of which is affordable housing, but about a third of that was with minority and women-owned businesses across the state and some in the Charlotte market. So we are very excited about that. Roberta is creating another problem for me because that means now we got to raise more capital so we don't run out of money. So to double our goal this year is pretty exciting. And so this last slide just shows you the impact of the Institute. The Retool NC was a program I'm very excited about in partnership with the Hub Office of North Carolina and Carolina Small Business Development Fund, another CDFI that's African American led in North Carolina. We have dispersed, really, our portion was 10.8 million. That was all grants. So you all heard of the PPP program. PPP said it's forgivable. And a lot of minority businesses were suspect of that because it said it that way. These grants through Retool were all forgiven. They were just straight grants. And so very excited about how we supported businesses, over 300 businesses with those funds. You can see there the amount of contracts we supported minority and women businesses to receive, over 2,400 businesses that we supported last year. Very excited about that. Over 100 new businesses that we helped create and the jobs that were created as a result of that as well. So we're making an impact, and I believe there's a whole lot more we can do as we support corporations, government agencies, other nonprofits across our footprint, and particularly in North Carolina. So I'll stop there. You all have questions for us, but I think it's important that you all know the Institute is a resource for you. It is in the community of Charlotte. We think Charlotte is an incredibly important market for us with the needs that are there, and we want to be there to support you.
Thank you so much. I do have a couple of questions here. One is from Arthur Griffin. He says, Kevin, I remember the work around Food Lion on Batesford Road in 2022. What are the possibilities of working with a Harris Teeter or Publix grocery store in the Crescent area of Charlotte?
The opportunities and Brother Griffin, it's good to see you. Appreciate you coming to the open house when we launched the Charlotte office. So thank you for that. We want to partner with grocery store chains. The work I was doing at Novant, we talked about food deserts and healthcare deserts across Charlotte and other large urban communities as well. So we want to partner with the grocery store chains and create those opportunities. A lot of it really comes down, y'all, to financial resources and who's going to finance these deals. And that's where I think the CDFI can play a vital role. And we're willing to do that where the opportunity exists and presents itself.
Okay. What are the HBCUs where you're located, and are you open to connecting with others? If so, how should the contact be made? Also, what do the existing HBCU partnerships look like on the campuses?
Well, I'm fortunate, Mary, that Dr. Ed Ford, who's the retired chancellor of North Carolina A&T State University, serves on my board of directors. And so he's been pushing me to engage more of the HBCUs. Andrea Harris is a graduate of Bennett College in Greensboro. And so that's been an incredibly important part of our fabric of relationships since the beginning. And so we have relationships with Johnson C. Smith, with Livingston, with St. Augustine's College, North Carolina Central, A&T, Bennett College, Virginia Union, and the list is growing throughout our footprint. So I look forward to partnering with more of them. I even found that there are 10 junior colleges that are HBCUs. And so we're working with them as well. So I look forward to the partnership.
Okay. Could you talk for a minute about how one gets connected with you? I know last week we had a real lively discussion about minority and women entrepreneurs and how they were having trouble getting connected to the right resources, be it mentorship or capital or just somebody just to kind of hold their hand and move them along when they're starting, and also those who are already working, have their businesses. So what is the first step? What should someone do if they're in that situation?
Well, Mary, what I would suggest to an entrepreneur in the Charlotte market is they reach out to Rocio Gonzalez. She is the lady in the Charlotte market to reach out to. I've been trying to work with Rocio for almost 20 years. And so here we are. We finally made it happen. We're in the same space at the same time. So she's the one to work with. As it relates to corporations and other entities in the Charlotte market, that's John. So John is the guy to do those collaborative partnerships and get those relationships going. But when it comes to financing, that's Roberta. And I am very excited that we're about to expand that team and have someone on the ground in the Charlotte market. Many of you will know, but I'm not at liberty to tell you yet. So I'm going to hold you in suspense. But when you hear the name, you'll know, okay, he's serious. But we plan to provide more financial resources in the market, as well as those capacity building services through the Women's Business Center.
Okay, great. And does that include mentorship with, okay.
It absolutely does.
Okay. Rocia also noted that some of the planned activities with Livingstone had to be canceled due to the pandemic. And we do understand the pandemic has made everybody sort of pivot to in a new direction, while still trying to do what they do. What type of jobs were the 157 jobs created? What type of jobs were those?
It varied. Those were jobs that were created as a result of these new businesses that were started. So you all know that most businesses, 90% of entrepreneurs or business owners are sole proprietors. And so it's important that we get the resources to these entrepreneurs so they can hire people. It's hiring people that creates wealth. Because if you don't have to work every day and someone is generating the resources, you can then build wealth. The way that happens is by making sure they have access to financial resources. And so those 150 jobs were those who were working for those businesses that were created. And some even with the work we're doing and expanding, but mostly coming from the new businesses that were created.
Okay. What size is your target business client? You've used terms like firms and small businesses, but what is the size of your target business client?
I'll tell you a short answer, and if Roberta and Rocio want to add to that, I'm happy for them to add to it. But what I would suggest is we support businesses from concept to scale. So whether you don't have a business yet and you've got an idea and you need help getting it off the ground, we can help you. If you've got a business that has 10, 20 employees and you're trying to figure out how to scale and grow, we can help you.
Okay. Roberta, were you going to say something about that?
I just unmuted just in case I need to add anything, but that Kevin pretty much covered it. And I will say from ICAP perspective, we like the businesses to have a little bit of season to them. They don't have to be well into, don't have to be 10 and 20 years old, but we do want to see some revenue through tax returns. And so we can, in terms of understanding what their capital needs are, we can certainly assist them in thinking through that.
And Roberta, do you mind real quickly just sharing Retool 3.0?
Absolutely. So Kevin talked about earlier a bit about a partnership that we've had with the state of North Carolina providing grant capital to businesses. And since 2020, we've funded nearly 600 businesses with $11 million, nearly $11 million in capital. There's another round of that, Retool NC 3.0, that's going to be launching this year, which we will be providing those same services where businesses can get. We're finalizing the maximum grant amount. In the past, it has been $25,000, up to $25,000, based on different factors. I won't go into in too much detail. However, the biggest component to being able to be considered is that businesses either be HUB certified through the state of North Carolina, that's historically underutilized business certification, or through the Department of Transportation, the DBE certification, a disenfranchised business enterprise. Have to have one of those for sure to be even considered. And then there are other qualifications that come after that. So if you know businesses or you yourself want to be considered, start working on that certification now. The state will certainly advertise once that program opens, but we have worked with another nonprofit within the state to be the facilitators of that particular grant program. And combined, we have deployed nearly 20 million. So it's a fantastic program, probably more than that. It's a fantastic program and has helped many businesses stay alive during the pandemic, but now we're getting past that point of survival, and we're moving into scaling and resiliency. So this next round, I think, is absolutely vital for those businesses that did survive the pandemic to now grow.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any affordable housing development partnerships in Charlotte?
Well, we've had one particular client that I'm sure she won't mind if we mention her, Law Street Residential. We have had a true partnership along the way for many, many years. And we're working on some other things that I'm probably not at liberty to say right now, that it would be hugely impactful in the affordable housing realm through a funding source that we're working with. And I don't want to be premature in saying who they are.
Okay. Have you had the opportunity to connect with the pending Atrium Health Innovation District team? And if connected, what role will you or can you play in this development opportunity and other large economic development projects in Charlotte?
I would say yes, and hold that thought.
Okay. Any upcoming business projects in the corridors, the corridors of opportunity?
We're working on the corridors and how we can collaborate. We want to be more of a resource. I think it's opportunities like this to get in front of you all and others so you know we are another resource. I'm still finding that there are lots of folks who don't know the Institute exists. So you all help us spread the word, help us share with others that we're a resource that's available for those who need us.
Okay. The next one is, although you are focused on access to capital and markets, the 1.2 trillion will require skilled labor. Has there been a skilled labor shortage analysis, and how are we addressing the potential shortage of living wage jobs required to support the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill?
So, Brother Griffin, I know you asked that question, and there is a skilled labor analysis shortage. We know there's a shortage. Last week, I was talking with Thomas Stith, who's over the community college system, about how we can collaborate and partner to identify new jobs. One of the things that I'm hearing now is the amount of new jobs and new careers that will come out of this infrastructure bill. If y'all think about it, one that I'll share a little bit about is how we connect the electric vehicle charging station grid. So we're doing fairly well in urban areas, but not so well in rural communities across the state, across the country. And so we're thinking through how we do that. And then Duke Energy is a part of this team that we've assembled to think through how we do that. And they brought up a really good point. They said, we've got the ability to put these charging stations in. The challenge is who's going to repair them? We don't have enough skilled maintenance providers. And my antennas went up. Not from the perspective of skilled labor per se, but from the perspective of here's a new business opportunity. Now imagine if I can connect to the community college system, we get people trained, and then we set them up in their own business, just like an electrician, a plumber, any of that. And then they can hire others. So that's where I am. That's where my headspace is. That's where our team is.
So to me, that sounds as though that is a great opportunity for an entrepreneur
Absolutely.
to be in that skilled labor arena. Right. Okay. All of their information has been put in the chat. So some of you are asking how can they be reached, and their information has been put in the chat, and it will also be on our website also. And I have another question. Does that mean the businesses have to be in the industry of hub and transportation?
So Vivian, tell me more about that. It's good to see you, by the way.
Okay, Vivian, you can unmute and ask that question.
Yes, good morning. Good to see you all, and Happy New Year to everyone. I wanted to ask a question because I just hopped on relatively late, and so I'm trying to get some understanding as to what the program is all about. And so, excuse me if you don't understand my question. So I'm trying to understand because you said HUD, you have to be certified in HUD, and also the Department of Transportation. Does that mean that you would have to be in those industries?
So the HUB, HUB, is the Historically Underutilized Business Certification.
Oh, okay.
It comes out of the North Carolina Department of Administration HUB office. You don't have to be HUB certified, though, to access our services.
Okay.
We target and support minority and women business owners. That doesn't mean that they have said, I'm certified as a HUB or an MBE.
All right.
Okay.
That was pertaining in particular to the grant program. I think that's the part that you missed. It's
Okay.
not for our lending, it's just for the grant program through the state of North Carolina.
Now,
How does
Alyssa, you're on. Can you just chime in real quickly about transportation? Because that's a little different. That is DBE certified, correct?
Yeah, the certification for the North Carolina DOT, it's actually a federal certification called DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. And that's for folks who are looking at doing work with the state or any of the state's upcoming contracting opportunities around the transportation space. So you've got some folks who are looking at obviously the road works and the airports and aviation, there's ports, there's all kinds of any number of ways to get involved with transportation. And it's been mentioned before that the infrastructure bill is going to increase those opportunities, multiple times. So there'll be a lot of ways that folks can participate that way.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Okay. One other thing that I had was, what about someone who has a very small business, especially with skilled labor, and maybe they don't have the manpower, they don't have enough employees to actually get one of those contracts? Is there anything in there for them?
Well, I think it's based on your capacity and what you're able to provide. So it's not necessarily based on you having a certain number of employees. It's what do you bring in terms of the services or the products that you provide. So I would look at it from that perspective.
Okay.
I would like to provide some information in regards to that, and I know that Lisa's here with us. What I would say to that person is that perhaps what they need to do is also connect with not directly with the general contractor, but with another smaller small business that has a similar type of industry so that they can provide or they can join and create a venture and reach out to that prime construction company to offer their services. So pretty much act as an independent contractor so that they can kind of join forces and be able to provide the type of skilled labor and of work that they need. And that's what the Women's Business Center does, provide that one-on-one coaching. There are some small businesses that are looking to get the top dollar contract without really being cautious about what is their capacity, like Kevin said. And they sometimes don't get paid on time or materials are not available, and that could cause their business to close. So we would definitely give them a lot of training. And for example, with SBTRC, with Alyssa, we are joining, and we would like to invite you because on February 16th for breakfast, we are going to have an event to just do that, to bring all of the big contractors and put them in front of the small businesses so that we can help with that collaboration and build relationships and provide contract opportunities to those small businesses in the construction and transportation industries so that we can move the needle and help each other out.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Will you please elaborate more on the home ownership aspect of your affordable housing initiative?
Roberta?
Thank you, Kevin. So our focus in terms of having the greatest impact is on the developer themselves. So just to give an example of some of the things that we've done last year, we've had developers to come to us that are looking to get site control to do a project. So we may lend for them to secure that site so that they can do projects, and or they may have completed the project and looking for permanent financing, and we can fill the gap when they oftentimes have shortfalls in their financing package. So we don't lend directly to the consumer because we feel that our greatest impact would be with the developer themselves in getting those projects started and completed.
Okay, thank you. UNCC Urban Institute indicated that there are 1,379 minority-owned small businesses in Charlotte. 507 are located in minority-concentrated neighborhoods. Of the 139 that completed the survey, access to capital and markets was identified. How are you responding to the Urban Institute study?
One way for us to respond, Arthur, is to have opportunities like this to get in front of you all so you know we exist and we're providing these resources. And we plan to do a lot more of that. So the community knows we're here. So diverse businesses know we're here and we're a resource for them. It's intentional that we're at UNC Charlotte. It's intentional. So I want to collaborate there and leverage those resources. And there's more to come out of that I'm real excited about. The chancellor at UNC Charlotte and I had a long conversation last week, which I was surprised she took as much time with me as she did. But she's serious about DE&I. And so she's already hired the first chief diversity officer for UNC Charlotte in its history. Wow. And so I'm going to work with her. And we're going to do something special there. So stay tuned.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. I don't have any other questions in the chat. I think I've seen all of them. We certainly appreciate you coming on because one of the things I've said already was that last week we did have a lively discussion, and lots of people may not even know that you exist. And but we know we need to get the word out, okay, to help our small businesses, minority owned, and women, to get them in the flow of this money, so they can build their businesses. And again, I said mentorship, they need mentorship and all of that.
And Mary,
So
there
I
was
do.
another question in the chat.
Yeah, I see.
Uh,
I see now. I see now. Their plans to cross collaborate with Johnson C. Smith.
John, can you answer that?
Yeah, so we are working on a couple of things with Johnson C. Smith. One, we're talking about, I mentioned earlier, our Minority Executive Education Institute, which is a crash MBA course. We're looking at hosting that at Johnson C. Smith. Also looking at working with their students for a HBCU entrepreneurship initiative that we're working on with students, sort of similar to what we're talking about with UNC Charlotte, but we allow venture capitalists to come in, meet with the students, and potentially provide funding for those ideas. So some things in the work with Johnson C. Smith, more details to come. We're in the infancy stages, but as Kevin mentioned, we have a huge push and drive to work with our HBCUs across the country.
Okay. Are you based here in Charlotte?
We are based in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
And that is our headquarters. We're on Paris Street. And it's important for y'all to know, we own the building that North Carolina Mutual Insurance Company built in 1921. It has always been African American owned. Very important. This was what was known as Black Wall Street. Most people know about Tulsa, but North Carolina had its own Black Wall Street in Durham. And we're it. And we're not going anywhere. But having said that, we have an office in Charlotte too, where John and Rocio are located in the Portal building at UNC Charlotte.
Okay. Are you hiring?
Absolutely. We've doubled the size of the staff since I got there since 2020. As a matter of fact, my COO keeps telling me, slow down, dude. And so, but the needs are so great, y'all. We are trying to respond. What I need your help on, all of you, is when y'all hear about resources, think of the Institute. I need y'all to reinvest in us so we can reinvest in the community. We have the resources. I got to pay people. So y'all help me make sure we got the resources to pay folks and put these resources on the street.
Okay, we want to thank you for coming in and giving a presentation. This has really been wonderful. It's just what we needed. And we want everyone to, take this information and let's spread this information. And, this is a great avenue, the Tuesday Forum, because it will be on our website, recording of this session and also all of your information. So I want to thank all of you. Now, we end at 9:30, but we stay on until 9:45, and we'll let you unmute your mics. There's no pressure to stay. The presenters, you do not have to stay, but if you want to, you can. But this is a chance for just us to chat regarding the topic or anything else. So I want to thank you so much, and we want to have you back again, so we get an update on what's going on. Thank you very much. So at this point, we're going to start our last 15 minutes. Okay. And those of you that have to go, thank you so much for coming. We will be back next week. Thank you.
Kevin, I don't know if you were going to run, but I did have one question that occurred to me. I'm running for the state legislature. And so I was wondering what the Institute's relationship with the General Assembly is and how there may be communication and support.
So it's an interesting relationship. It's best I can put it. We're working with the General Assembly, and I want to expand that relationship. I think it's important for the General Assembly, Lisa, to know that the Institute is not a partisan organization. We're here to support entrepreneurs and those who need to become homeowners. So why is that important? Because entrepreneurs hire people, and that means that they're not pulling from resources, but they're adding to the state's resources. Why home ownership? Because that is the fastest way and the most the easiest way for any American to build wealth, so they can retire, so they can send their kids to college, all of those things, and it stabilizes communities. Why would anyone be opposed to that? And that's our message.
And that is a bipartisan message. I mean, fortunately, these are not bipartisan times, but I was fascinated by the presentation today, and I learned a lot, so thank you.
Brother Kevin, this has been a phenomenal presentation. I'm getting back into this morass called politics because the last comments you made were the comments that count. The gap in wealth building has increased for African Americans. If you just read the Federal Reserve reports, you'll see how we're going backwards from that perspective. We absolutely got to participate in this economic system. You probably saw the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal this morning. The richest people in America got richer while everybody else is struggling with 2 and 3 jobs. We can do better, and I absolutely appreciate your work 20 years ago plus and what you're doing now. So if I can help you in any way, don't hesitate. I serve as a trustee at Central Piedmont Community College. We can do far more in terms of preparing workforce preparation for those new jobs. Right now, we're about 5 years behind. Thank you.
Brother Griffin. And tell Linda I said hello.
Arthur, I think that for the past years, I don't know how many, but I think that the focus has been on going to college, the college track. But most of the jobs out there now are related to industry, so I think that we need to really prepare students for that in addition to college.
I have a picture, but I can't find it right now, with the welder's hat on and stuff. We went through a welding course. There are 2 parts to getting your certification. One is the practical exam, and one is the written exam. We still have to have those basic skills of literacy and numeration for all of those well-paying CTE jobs. So don't forget the literacy and numeration skills are absolutely necessary for that welder to start off making $50,000 plus. They got to pass both parts of that test.
Kevin, if I could ask a question, what are you guys doing in the marketing aspect just to overcome pathologies of Black or potential Black entrepreneurs just overcome with skepticism from anybody willing to be a resource, from any organization saying they're here to help? How are we getting past just initial skepticism, which is, very well understood? How do we overcome those barriers to say this organization is here in your best interest?
Two ways, Winston. Credibility, which is why it's important that you will always hear my team and me say, we've been in existence over 35 years. We're not new at what we do, and we've got proof that it works. The Institute, as well as Institute Capital, which has been in existence over 20 years. And when I talk to the bankers about needing resources, and I mentioned that we're not new at this, we've been at this for decades, they relax a little bit. But what comes along with that is being able to say success. We can point to examples of how what Rocio is doing is working. We can show examples of minority and women-owned businesses that have been successful out of our programs. And so it's important that we show those examples, like Food Lion on Beatty's Fort Road. That's still a very important part of the Northwest Corridor. It's important that we show what we've done on West Boulevard and how important that is, and others across the state.
If I could add to that, Kevin, I would say representation. Having someone that looks like you, that you're going to for capital access, there's a comfortability that, okay, maybe this person will hear my entire story and see if my business is positioned for financing. So that is very, very important. And so as I grow my team, it was going to represent the communities that we serve. And to say that more of our entire team represents the communities, the whole Institute team represents communities that we serve.
Thank you, and good morning. This is Juanita Miller. Can you elaborate on some of the types of training that you all have provided?
Juanita, do you mean in terms of minority business training?
Yes.
In particular?
Yes.
So, Rocio, do you want to weigh in on that?
Yes, sure. Happy to do so. Good morning, Juanita. The Women's Business Center, as we said, we want to provide tools and resources at any stage of the business. I wanted to also clarify that when we say that we help small business, people tend to think that they have to register their business and set up their business before they come to us. And what we would like to say to them is, please don't do that. Please come to us at your idea stage, so that we can help you and assist you with building your business plan, give you one-on-one coaching. We do classes on QuickBooks, how to automate your accounting, on technology, how to reach to your clients, on business planning, what are the different steps, and have you really consider how your product is going to meet a need of the community, and will you be successful in the industry that you have picked?
Okay, bingo. You have said something that I was looking for exactly and specifically. So,
what was that?
The one about automation.
Wonderful.
Automating your business. Yeah, I have 2 nonprofits, and that's exactly what I'm looking for.
Well, please send me an email so that we can keep you on our distribution list, because we soon are going to roll out our program that is called Catch the Tech Fever.
Okay,
So
now
is
there a charge for that or what?
No, ma'am. All of our services are free of charge. We are a mission-driven nonprofit organization, and our mission is to help you.
Well, very good. UNCC is my alma mater, so.
Now, Juanita, we don't charge, but we take donations.
And I
never come empty-handed anyway.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I don't charge, but once you begin to succeed, I will call you and ask you for a testimonial.
Look, the same response to, like I said to the former, I never come empty-handed anyway.
Juanita, the other thing I would encourage you to look at is our Public Allies program. And so that's how we also support nonprofits. And generally speaking, how it works is we know not a lot of nonprofits don't have the resources to hire people. And so we can help place someone as an ally in your nonprofit. You pay a going wage, which is $15 an hour. We will pay the benefits for that ally. So you don't have to worry about the benefits costs of that person. And then after 10 months of them being placed with you, if it's successful, we will give that ally a $7,000 grant toward their college debt, which is to the ally. And what we're finding is 90% of the allies that we've placed end up with permanent employment with that nonprofit.
Wow, I'll have to let my son and his business know about that. He has more employees than I do. But thank you so much. I'll be in touch.
Related to what Juanita is a member of a large denomination here. What work are you doing with faith-based organizations?
We finance a lot of churches in terms of the community economic development work, not the church sanctuary now, but the economic development work. We collaborate with them in those ways. We'll partner with them that way. So, you know, I don't mind that at all, and would love to do more of that. So I'm still a member of Friendship in Charlotte.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Well, Juanita's they have a great restaurant in the Wilson area.
Oh,
Roberta's ready.
Maybe they can position a car charger by their restaurant parking lot.
uh, maybe so. But look, first things first. I appreciate those comments, Jackie.
Okay, so I want to also offer that pre-pandemic, this is a new word in our language, pre-pandemic, the Women's Business Center would also partner with different churches and provide seminars on how to start your business, access to capital, and all those wonderful list of seminars that we provide. And we continue to do this virtually. So now sometimes this has been kind of like a blessing in disguise because we have a lot of people from their homes with their children running around able to take some of the seminars that we provide. So please reach out to us because we're here to build partnerships and provide you with the education and the seminars that you need and your congregation needs.
How nuanced does that help get? My wife is actually right here, and I remember she's a dentist, and matter of fact, ask the question, baby.
Lord. Good morning.
Good morning.
I was just here listening to the speech this morning, and just wanted to know where you guys are expanding into healthcare. I hear a lot about corporations. I know diversity and inclusion is a big sector in corporations right now. So just wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Roberta.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, that is. Kudos to boy. He gets cool points for the day.
He is working his wife. That's what he's
Yes,
doing.
he is. That's what I'm talking about.
I just didn't want to butcher the message, so I'm just trying to get myself out of hot water. But just expanding resources like to those nuanced areas. Like when coming out of dental school, she has an exorbitant amount of debt as well as the desire to maybe begin a new practice. So how, anybody looking to fund a business will see that as a red flag. However, in dentistry, that's the norm.
And I'll add this too. I say that because right now the trend is, we're coming out of school with 6 figures, but then it costs another 6 figures to open a practice. And I don't think a lot of people realize how much it costs to open a dental practice. It's a minimum of $500,000 just to open a practice. And then when you're in a major metropolitan city, such as Charlotte, that price tag goes up. So that's why you tend to see more practices are starting to be more like Gastonia because you get a little lower price tag. So I think for those who are trying to reach financial freedom just a little bit, and then to have to tag on another $500,000 debt. But of course, business isn't one of our top things that we learn in school. So just wanted to ask that question from a small business standpoint.
I understand the question. So if I can just, Dr. Robinson, if I could just say to you that you and I can certainly talk offline because I would want to know more about what your next steps and what you're thinking of. Are you looking to purchase your building or are you just needing working capital to launch it? So those are kind of questions that I would want to ask you and have an offline discussion about so we could know how to support you.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll get your email from the chat, Roberta.
All right,
thank you so much.
Kevin, I have a question. This is Yolanda Polk. Thank you all so much for this very informative presentation. It was awesome. In regards to the school system, I know now that a lot of students are looking towards entrepreneurship. As I think Mary was saying earlier, we used to push college, but now a lot of trades and a lot of students are coming out of school actually starting a business. And through the pandemic, whether they have been on YouTube or Instagram or however the case may be. So is there any conversation around partnering with the school system, with our high school students who's looking to go into entrepreneurship from a tutoring, a mentorship standpoint?
The wonderful question, Yolanda. And John, can you chime in and talk about what we're doing with Guilford County?
Sure. Thank you, Kevin. So we are working with Guilford County, also Durham County to actually mentor small businesses, help them scale and grow. Partner them actually with our Women's Business Center for a lot of technical assistance and training, and just really helping pipeline them and walking their hands through becoming suppliers and vendors with Durham County, Guilford County, and other municipalities. So there are some special nuances, as many of you can imagine, with doing business with cities and municipalities. So we have kind of ways of helping them get to that point. We also work with the procurement teams directly with Durham County, Guilford County, to help them see the value of working with a minority-owned firm, making personal introductions so they can add them to the supply chain. A lot of times, these municipalities and corporations don't feel that there are enough minority-owned firms out there who are the capacity to do the work, but we prove them wrong every time. We really have a program where we can scale and grow and partner with these diverse firms.
And just Yolanda, and thanks, John, to put in just an example in Guilford County, you asked about students specifically. John and I have collaborated with Guilford County schools who wanted to provide a career path for those who want to get into the construction trades. And so we partnered with them. We had a graduation back in December for a group of kids who are learning how to build homes. And so they're going in different paths along the home builder track, whether it's an electrician or plumber and all that, but they got a well-rounded understanding of all of those trades. And I think that's something that we can replicate with other school systems across the state as well.
I'm not sure if there's anyone on here from Charlotte-Mecklenburg other than Yolanda, but it's really sad to hear that you are not in Charlotte-Mecklenburg. We are so large that our students really, really need this really bad. I know some of the schools are doing some things. I think Olympic has a partnership with someone in welding, and that has worked out very well for some students. I think they've started, the ones that complete the program in high school, and with the apprenticeship at the company, they're starting them out with like $60,000 when they finish high school. So I would like to see more of that in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system. But as we've said before, it's very hard to get into Charlotte. I won't elaborate, but it's just very hard, Yolanda, to get into Charlotte-Mecklenburg. Maybe you can help us in that area.
Trust me, I understand. I guess my question would be, how do we get Kevin and his team to present to the school board? I know that Jennifer had to jump off, but I think that would be an awesome opportunity to share with the school, with the school board.
John is the point of contact, Yolanda. Whenever you're ready, we're ready.
Well, he and I are setting up a time to talk this week. All right.
Very good.
Sounds good.
And we're
Thank you, Yolanda.
Okay, Kevin, I have a question for you. Are you seeking a fundraising person? Are you in need of a fundraiser person? Or do you have someone in place?
Well, I'm thinking through that again. We went through an extensive capital campaign process last year to understand where our resources need to be. And so we're rethinking that. So to answer your question, yes and no.
This is Laura. I'd like to ask John Hamm, if he gets to Mecklenburg schools, please give us the formula, because we've had so many different organizations to come on the Tuesday morning forum that say that they cannot get into the Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. So once you get in, please disseminate that formula to the Charlotte community or through Tuesday morning breakfast, because that's really a challenge for organizations and for Tuesday morning breakfast to get the full scope of what they are doing in assisting minority businesses.
All right.
So, John, did you hear me?
I heard you loud and clear. I will take that. I'll take my marching orders.
Okay.
And y'all, this
you.
has been wonderful. My team, we are preparing for our first full staff meeting at 10 a.m. So we all need to sign off.
Oh, yeah.
So we can join the rest of our team this morning.
Okay.
It's been wonderful. Thank you for hosting us, and we look forward to coming back, Mary, anytime you'll have us.